Are you someone who's often focused on doing more dials and more meetings in a day? Well, while this can have benefits, it can also have some important drawbacks because sometimes you can just focus too much on the volume and you kind of lose the focus on having the proper intent. And so this can actually cause you to lose out on deals, actually cause you to close less clients, and it can also cause you to really not be closing the right type of clients or not going as deep into the discussions you actually need to have with them to make good deals. And so especially if you're someone who is running a business, then this can be a suboptimal way to go about sales. This used to be one of my main struggling points that I used to have for a very long time. Even back when I was doing cold approach, I was always thinking about doing more approaches, doing more volume. And while I learned a lot of things from that, I also think like it's a suboptimal way to go about things. And it took me a long time to learn that because you're prioritizing the volume because you're too proud of doing all the work and you're too proud of getting a certain record or whatever, that you forget about what's actually important, which is having the right intent every step along the way. If you just focus on volume, if you focus on more dials, more approaches, more meetings, but you're probably going to get better at that, but you're not necessarily going to get better at getting better clients in and getting more clients in because you're focusing too much on the top of the funnel. So, people always say like you got to do more volume, but I think in my experience that's not the solution. Except, there's certain exceptions, like when you're beginning in sales and maybe you're only able to do a couple of dials or a couple of meetings a day, then sure, like you want to make sure that you get a bit stronger in that area. But at some point, you want to just set like a baseline number for yourself that's like not overwhelming, but you still want to get like above a minimum threshold, but you don't want to overwhelm yourself because the intent and the end result is more important. So the problem is, if you focus on volume a lot, you can easily deceive yourself into saying, well, it's not really worth going deeper in asking questions or going in a topic deeper with that prospect because he's putting up some resistance and it's being a little bit difficult to work with him. So then you might say, well, I'm just going to move on to the next one. I'm just going to do more volume. It's just a numbers game, But, can you see how this is limiting? So it's not always, but often, I think it's more beneficial to really focus on always making sure your intent is right, that you can really dive deep into being present, into asking the right questions, that you can actually convert them and help them. So, for example, especially in like objection handling, if you have a volume-based mindset, then you're going to be more inclined to just go to the next meeting. Whereas if you have an intent-based mindset, your intent is going to be, how can I close this client? How can I really help him? How can I really dig deep into all the objections and all the questions that this person might have, so that you can actually get the results that you want. And that's, I think, for me, it's not something I wrapped my head around 100% yet, but it is really an important factor for me in my, sales self-development process. That I can see that the volume game really has a lot of limitations, and you want to make sure that your intent is more important after some time, once you're able to do like a baseline amount of volume and reps, and you want to start focusing more on that. Okay, so I'm still working on that, especially because sometimes I would set like 3 meetings a day and then like practice on being comfortable doing 3-4 meetings a day and then doing all those cold calls. But I find a lot of the time, yes, it does help me. It does get me thicker skin and just does get me more comfortable with it. But I think it's a suboptimal way, because you could really have just 1 meeting a day and have like a more hyper-focused intent. And you could close literally more clients from that, more good clients from that, than setting 4 meetings a day and just going about it as if it were like a routine and you're just focusing on numbers. So yeah, I really think that's important. I'm not sure if that's an issue that many people are struggling with, but it is something that I've personally had to overcome and still kind of like working on that. So hopefully, I don't know. I think if you're watching up until now, probably that kind of resonated with you. Let me know if you have any comments or questions or ideas. Yeah, I promise to reply, and I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.